Shalom, shalom. First off, give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahabar Gadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, the women and children, and the confusion of faith who follow. So as you can see, this lesson is entitled Uproars of the People. All right, it's a lot of things that are going on in the news right now, a lot of things that can be easily looked over, if you're not being watchful or just, knowing what to look for. And that's not a knock on anybody, but, that's the reason why the Lord set up his men, to be a watchman over the people. So our Lord's will is going to be an edifying video, and I'm just going to go into a couple recent topics um, as concerning this. So let's get to scripture. This is Second Ezra 9. The whole chapter is good, but we'll start at verse 1. Let's get the meat off the bone. See if I can move this out of the way. There we go. So it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Right, so we understand what time we're in. We're reading the scriptures and comparing the scriptures to everyday life so that we can understand and know how close we are to the end, right, and how close we are to the Lord coming back and redeeming his people. All right, verse 3, it says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then thou shalt well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So it's been spoken that, in these last days, we're going to see uproars of the people. Now, like I said, I'm going to go into some recent uproars just from, like this past week or so. But if you think and you go back into, the past the past 5 to 7 years, all right, the number of uproars has been astounding, really since maybe 2010 and forward. All right, it's never was a time like this. When I was a child growing up, I didn't. I'm not saying I was always in this position I am now, but uh, you didn't hear about these uproars. You just didn't. It's a difference. And I'm not a young man. I came up in the well. I'm not an old man either, But I say I came up in the '90s. Okay, I'm an '80s baby. I came up in the '90s and the early 2000s, right? So comparing those times to these times is totally different as far as it goes with these uproars. Like I said, since 2010 and up, you know, uh, all the shootings and the protests that follow with those. We had protests all around the country, even here in Omaha. I seen it with my own eyes. I've never seen anything like that before, especially out of people here in Omaha. Okay, you had the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring happened, and you had people from all these different Muslim nations, overthrowing their governments and inciting riots, doing this, that, and the third to basically causing commotion. Okay, and we're going to get into that here in a second. But what else? You had the austerity measures, okay, in the pigs nations in Portugal, Italy, uh, Ireland, Greece, and Spain. Or you had these uproars because of the market crash. Okay, so the money is different now. So you had the people uh, basically they're taking civil liberties from them. Okay, that's a whole nother separate video. But you see these different uproars have been happening over these past few years, and now it's really getting to the gun violence. All right, so with that being said, let's get this first article. And that's what the people say. They say enough is enough. All right, you had the Sandy Hook shooting, you had Columbine, you had now this Uvalde, Texas, or I'm not sure how to pronounce that those town, but you know what I mean. And this has been a recurring theme. The grocery store in Buffalo, the Boston Marathon, these mass shootings. The guy down in North Carolina, I believe, one of the Carolinas, who shot up the church. So you have all these different mass shootings, and people want answers. People want, as like it says right here, enough is enough. So it says, scared and tired, thousands across the U.S. rally against gun violence. So this wasn't just in one place. I seen them in Washington D.C. and in Texas, in California and Washington State. So it was all over the country. People coming in solidarity against this gun violence, wanting lawmakers to do something to quell the violence. All right, it says after the Uvalde, after Buffalo, after Parkland, Newtown, and El Paso, and hundreds of other mass shootings over the past 2 decades, thousands of protesters rallied against gun violence on Saturday in Washington, D.C., and in cities across the country. Right, so like I said, it's been a lot of mass shootings, and people are quote tired. They want something to be done, but this is counteractive to the Second Amendment, which gives you a right to bear arms. So this is how the two sides are butting heads. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. So this is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 2. It says, I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Right? So that's the divide and conquer method. That's what Esau wants to do. The people can't be in solidarity with each other. They'll be harder to overthrow. But if you throw a wrench in their plans, if you find some way to separate them, light skin, dark skin, you cute, ugly, fat, skinny, you give them some kind of divisive method to split them, you know, then it's easier to take them down as individuals. Uh, Look at the nation. Our nation. When we were, Israel, all 12 tribes, we were harder to take down opposed to, when we split into the nation of Israel and the nation of Judah. All right, when we split, that's when, you know, and it was all through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Of course, it was written and it had to be done this way. But when we split, that's when the 10 tribes went down. That's when the three tribes, also went into slavery. So, we're better together. And that's why it's so powerful that, that stick, what I'm saying, one stick and the other stick are coming back together to, to form a unified 12 tribe. All right. Because, like I said, you're stronger together. A house divided against itself shall not stand. So we know that, we understand that. So Esau understands this as well. So what does he do? He does those divisive things to um, pull apart the people. Feminism. You have women hating men. You know, um, so with this whole, and this is relevant. So with this whole gun violence thing, they're wanting to pass a lot of new laws. All right, in New York, in Texas, and some other states as well. But I was just checking out on what it may be. I don't have the article up here again. It's like it's kind of late, but it was speaking about what's called the boyfriend loophole. All right, so it's like if you're a violent offender, or if you're an abuser and you've abused your wife or your live-in girlfriend, or you have a child by that woman, you can't have a gun. But if you're just a boyfriend, then you can have a gun type deal. And I was, just wanting to get some clarity on what exactly it is, because this is what they're trying to. This is the new law that they're wanting to bring in. Okay, that boyfriend loophole, so that man can't have a gun. Um, so when I was, like I said, trying to get some edification on what exactly that boyfriend loophole is, everything I found on it was feminist women speaking on it. Men can't do this and men can't do that. It was a lot of male bashing, because that is the spirit that's out here, that divisive spirit that women to be independent and don't need men. Men are dirt. Men are trash. You know, but without men, you wouldn't be able to do anything in this world. But that's another story. That's another lesson. But so yeah, just the divisiveness in this country is at an all-time high with race. Race always plays a part in dividing the country. So let's get back to this article. It says, with their signs, chants, and mere presence, they condemned the drumbeat of mass shootings in the United States and renewed a call, so far a futile one, for federal legislation to limit the use of military-style weapons that have been made uh, that have made many of them possible. It says many vowed to fight the the inaction of the polls. So it says that I'll be taking your thoughts and prayer to the ballot box. So they're like, hey, look, man, if you don't judge on this, man, we're not going to vote for you. That's the only thing that they can say. We're not going to vote for you. But the concern is, like I said, these military style weapons, AR-15s, AK-47, so on and so such, right? It's a reason why they want to get rid of those weapons when most of the violence happens by handgun. All right, it's concealable, it's small, you can get away with it. You can put it in your lap, you can put it in the small of your back, you can put it in your waist, you can put it in your car door. It's hideable. You can't hide a big automatic gun, but guess what? It has stopping power. So if the government or someone tries to enter your house or kick in your door and you got that AR, it's a fair fight, as fair of a fight as it could be. But if you got, just a 9 millimeter, or even if you got, say you got a 45, a big handgun, but they got choppers, they got ARs, military style rifles, you don't stand a chance. And that's what they want, because the scripture says that the enemy's going to come in like a flood. All right, when that enemy comes in like a flood, they're not going to come in waving pistols. No, they're going to have those AR-15s, those military automatic. Yeah, that's what they're going to have. And guess what? If they know that you don't have one, it's going to be a lot safer for them to enter in your house or to kick in your door. It's a psychological thing. If I was watching Saving Private Ryan, and before they dropped the exit, storming the beach in Normandy, they were all scared. You can see it's like, man, I might die. As soon as they opened that thing up, what happened? You had the bullets were coming in. They were raining in on them, and people died. But before that, they were scared. They knew. Okay, so when you put these soldiers in this position that they don't know whether there's a automatic weapon in this house, or they don't know, who's in this house, what they have, what they may have, or whatnot, they're going to be a little nervous. But if they know that, hey, there was an AR in this house and we got rid of it, so when we go kick in this door, we know that we're not going to come under heavy fire. Now you can be confident in your job. All right. And this link's in the description. I'm not going to deal too much with this. just because I want to get to the other stories that we have. And these two are the same, pretty much. This is also from the New York Times. It says protests over Prophet Muhammad comments turned deadly in India. And then you have one from Yahoo News. It says Pakistanis protest over derogatory remarks about the Prophet Muhammad. So you have two different countries. It's really the same people, Elam, who are protesting over remarks that was made about the Prophet Muhammad. You know, like Jay say, "Not my God." And these people really feel like that. You know, not my God. You're not going to talk about my God like that, or their prophet, should I say? It says crowds of protesters burned an effigy depicting suspended Bharatiya Janita Party spokeswoman Nupur Sharma, who, along with other party officials, made comments on the prophet and his private life earlier this month. And who knows what was said? It was probably, let me see if I can find it in here. It was probably some kind of feminist statement. Uh, Let me see if it says it in this one. Bear with me real quick. What was actually said? They probably won't repeat it just to show some kind of respect, which is that's cool. I understand that. I can respect that. Yep, there we go. Says last week made speculative comments on a television talk show about the relationship between the prophet and his youngest wife. And these women are always worried about quote young women. I mean, young women, all grown older men have always loved or liked or been enamored with younger women. Okay, and in the ancient world, this was a common practice. That once a woman has reached the flower of her age, she's at a marital age, she's given to a man who can take care of her. Unlike in these times when you know you have the young women who go out and they get a Pookie or a Ray Ray or a Chad or Tyrone, and these dudes ain't working no job. They're on the corner hustling or whatever you have. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go into this too much, but the overall point is they make a bad decision on who they with, and they have to pay for it for the rest of their life. Compared to the ancient world, where marriages were arranged, and if you wanted to get married, you had to be able to actually support that woman. All right, the times are different, but that got these two countries on fire. Just that that statement that oh he was messing with a little girl, you know, which that's a smear campaign. You're smearing that man's name, and then to put it at that, these people are crazy. I ain't gonna say these people are crazy, but these people are have a zeal. These people have a zeal for their religion. So you know, these more uproars in this world right now. So now we've covered uproars here in America. We got some uh, in Asia. I'll say let's go further east and see what we can come up with. All right. So this is from AsiaMarkets.com. It says there's a run on Chinese banks and it is being ignored by the world. This is from June 12th. All right, just yesterday. It says the autonomy of an economic crisis. It's like yeah. It says a bank run is the point of no return. Bank runs occur when people scramble to withdraw cash from banks in fear of collapse. In the worst cases, banks' liquid cash reserves are exhausted, and not everyone gets their money, and the bank defaults. So, you know, I'm gonna just keep it short. There was some insider trading. People were doing illegal things within these uh, sister banks, you can call them. And now there's a run on the bank. People saying, "Hey, look, they doing illegal stuff. Give me my money. I don't want to bank with you no more." But now, if everyone comes to get their money, now there's not enough money. So you have a run on the bank. It's a economic crisis going on over there in China. So more uproars of the people. When you want your money, that's what they're saying. And how can they fix this? How can they prevent a bank run? The MOTB, right? Because if all currency is digital, then you don't have to go to the bank uh, to recoup your funds. All right. Um, there was a point that I missed. There was a point that I missed. Going back to the protesters here in America with the gun violence. What is the solution? You or what is the solution that they're looking for? They're looking for new laws to enact, uh, making it illegal to use these automatic weapons, to change the age, so on and so forth. So they're in their mind they're thinking that they're doing a good thing, but they're just one by one giving up civil liberties. Okay, you're allowing the government to have more control. So I want to get this precept real quick. This is First Thessalonians 5:3. It says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction come up upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." Right. So although it looks like they're going to be, uh, you're going to get your way, so to speak. They're going to repeal these gun laws. They're going to make stricter laws, and the country will be better off for it. There'll be less mass shootings. They're saying peace and safety, but going back to my previous point, now there's no guns in the house. So when Esau decides to come in and like a flood, then what? Then you don't have any defense for yourself. So that's that sudden destruction coming upon them. All right, let's get this last precept. All right, this is Luke 21:9. It says, "But when you should hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." It's like it, but the end is not by and by. So we're hearing of wars, everything that's going on in Ukraine. It's just everything's, like I said, everything's speeding up. It's at an all time high. But these commotions. So I want to definitely get this word commotion, but I want to read it also in the NLT. It says, "When you hear of wars and insurrections, don't panic. Yes, these things must take place first, but the end won't follow immediately." So we know that we are towards the end. We're not at the end game. We're not at the very, very end. Okay, there's still a space left that we have to get through. We have to make it through to the MOTB. Okay, the enemy does have to come in like a flood. Okay, that's how is the standard going to be lifted up if the enemy never comes in like a flood? All right, uh, World War III has to officially happen. All right, just there's a few more prophecies that have to take place. So the end is not yet, but you know, we're not at the door, but we're coming down the driveway, if that makes sense. So let's get this word commotions and see if it applies to these situations that are going on today. So this is Strong's G. Was it a 181? I'm not going to try to pronounce that word, but it says instability, a state of disorder, disturbance, confusion, and that perfectly describes what's going on today. You have the country is it's unstable. All right, it's teetering. All right, it's torn in two. Is It's what? It's bipartisan. It's two parties. That's another way they divide the people. Different people standing for different things. You think these people are going to willingly give up their guns? That's how you start a civil war, especially in Texas. What if they try to enact these gun laws and Texas just secedes uh, from the nation and becomes its own country? That's the start of a civil war. So, and not to say that's what is going to happen. That's just an example of what could happen. How easily these things could pop off. It's a state of disorder, all right, dysfunction, all right, disturbances, all right, and confusion. It reminds me of the scripture in Isaiah says, "It should be as a chased roe, as a deer that no man taketh up." Roughly paraphrasing, I think I kind of butchered that in, but you understand where I'm coming from. I believe it's Isaiah 13 and 14. But that confusion, that's what's going on in the people's minds. That's what's going on here in America, man. Everything's going every which way. Gas is going up. Inflation is happening over here. School shootings over there. Russia over here. China over there. The UFOs over here. Come on. And, in this place, what else? The debt clock keeps going up. You got a energy crisis over here, a famine over there. Come on, and all of this stuff is going on at one time, but we're not, coming down the driveway. Like I said, we're not coming down the driveway, getting ready to knock on that door. Hey, man, Lord's what this was an edifying video, and I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Karkadash, the honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, the women, the children, and confusion of faith who follow. Shalom.